There is the hospital, Harbor UCLA Medical Center in Los Angeles. And we are watching this hospital. So much of the world is, because Tiger Woods is recovering there this morning after emergency surgery, extensive, long surgery yesterday, following the single car crash yesterday morning, 7:12 local time, in which he was trapped in extreme wreckage. We thought initially that they had taken him out with the jaws of life. What we learned from police later, they used an axe to break through the windshield, pried him out using a pry bar on a spinal board, concerned about spinal injury. The latest word we got just late last night in terms of his condition, a statement from doctors and from Tiger's organization. But here's the big headline. He is currently awake, responsive, and recovering in his hospital room. So we're going to be following this very closely. No word on when we might get another update from doctors. That will likely come today. But let's take a little look at what we know so far. Lorne Rubenstein is with us, the well-known Canadian golf writer, followed Tiger's career, ups and downs for decades, and co-authored his memoir, the 1997 Masters My Story, along with Tiger Woods. He's been following this closely from Florida and up with us today. And Lorne, I couldn't be happier. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Heather. Wish we were under other circumstances, but here we are.
Well, I think last time we talked about Tiger, he had that incredible comeback in 2019 and won the Masters. It is a very different tone to our conversation, but positive based on that doctor's statement. If we can bring that up again, that he's currently awake, responsive, and recovering in his hospital room. Your thoughts on that, Lorne?
Yeah, I mean, what started yesterday when the news first came across, it sounded, about as bad as it could be, and you were wondering if you were even going to live, really, as serious as it seemed. But throughout the day, things seemed to improve a bit, and his vital functions were there, and he seems to, as you say, he's awake and alert, so that's very important. The injuries are still very, very serious, but as the day wore on, it seemed more hopeful than perhaps we might have thought at the beginning.
And I want to talk about the injuries in a little bit more detail, but let's go back to those, the images from the crash scene, which were truly amazing, transfixing, the damage to the vehicle. Apparently, it's thanks to the airbags in the interior that cushioned the impact. But as you watched the initial scene, Lorne, and saw that scene there, I mean, what were the worst case, survivability, you've already said, but what were the worst case scenarios running through your mind?
Well, one, that he would never be able to walk again, for sure, which would be very, very difficult for anybody and for an athlete. And he's got two young kids, likes to play with them. So that was one. The other, that there might be other injuries. Was there, brain injury perhaps? We had no idea. I mean, what would his mental state be? Those kinds of things were running through my mind.
We don't know about the other injuries, do we? Whether there's anything in addition to what we're going to talk about to his legs, in his feet. But certainly the extent of his injuries, as we go back to that doctor's statement, Lorne, we've learned some new medical language, neither of us medical doctors, but I think it's pronounced comminuted, open fractures affecting the tibia and the fibula bones in his lower right leg. And he's had those stabilized by inserting a rod into one of the bones, the tibia. There were also injuries to his foot and ankle, and they've been stabilized with screws and pins. Now, not to get too grotesque, but an open fracture is one where there's an open wound or a break in the skin near the broken bone site. And comminuted means splintered, crushed, pulverized. These are significant injuries, Lorne. Again, the breadth of these, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, significant is certainly the word, and it really makes you wonder. Again, as I said about, I think he'll, as far as I know, he'll be able to walk, but will he be able to walk after he rehabs with any kind of comfort, with any kind of stability? That remains to be seen. Golf seems almost out of the question right now, but you never know. This is Tiger Woods after all, and having had 5 back surgeries, 5 knee surgeries. But just reading that report, it was both encouraging and it was both frightening. So, it's really hard to imagine that this is at the moment, it doesn't seem any more hopeful than it did at the end of last evening. If anything, it feels perhaps even a little bit darker because of the extent of the injuries.
The extent to which, obviously, survival and his life are the far more important issues at this point, and the more the main considerations. But the question did quickly turn to, is this career-ending? In golf circles, with your colleagues, your writing colleagues, anyone else you're speaking to, Lorne, what is the thinking on this?
Well, nobody really wants to address that or speculate about it because this is Tiger Woods. But, people are saying and believe that it's very possible this could be career ending. Certainly. I mean, you can't imagine him coming back and playing in the Masters in a few months, which he had hoped to do and spoke of that just on Sunday. The U.S. Open in June seems almost impossible as well. But, you can never say never with Tiger, and with modern medicine and what they can do in rehab, who knows?
We're looking at scenes 2019 after what was considered really not just one of the most amazing comebacks in golf, but in all of sport. And we talked about it at that time. The stuff of legend and the fire and the determination and the work ethic to make that possible. I mean, if anyone would, as you've suggested, it would seem that he would be someone to do it again.
Yeah, but, we need to keep in mind the guy is as tough as he is mentally, physically, everything else. What we've seen in the past, he is a human being, and he's not a superhuman. Sometimes it seems like he is, but if he ever did come back to play high-level golf, it would really, be right up there with Ben Hogan's comeback in 1949 after a horrendous car accident, which, again, it seemed at first, was he going to live and is he going to walk again? Came back and won major championships.
In that celebratory video when he won the Masters in 2019, we saw him hug his son Charlie, with whom he plays golf, and he has a daughter Sam. Maybe golf is not the most important priority for him right now.
No, absolutely not. Right now, all you can do is hope that he will come back, be able to just carry on the normal functions of life and be with his kids, play with his kids, and if he never hits another golf shot. This was true even before the accident. That's fine. I mean, the guy's accomplished so much. But let's just hope we can keep the emphasis on Tiger Woods, the human being, Tiger Woods, the person, and hope that he'll be able to just come along and recover and rehab, and however long it takes, be able to go on and have as high quality a life as possible.
And again, remind us, because you're right, the focus is on Tiger Woods, the man, and his health and recovery. But the fact there was wall-to-wall coverage yesterday, the fact that so many in the world are, waiting for the latest word from doctors and from the hospital, is because of who he is as a golfer and a legend in sport. What does he mean to the sport of golf in 2021, Lorne?
He means a lot. In the last 20, 25 years, he's been on the scene since he turned pro. Purses have escalated and risen so much, almost entirely because of him. Whenever he plays in the tournament, no matter who else is there, there's a lot more attention on it. So, and he's at the age now, he's playing and he's close with people who are half his age, Justin Thomas for one, and he's their mentor. So he's an inspiration to a lot of golfers, to people around the world who play the game. Because of what he's gone through and what he's done. So he's huge. I mean, there was always going to be golf after Tiger Woods, but he's one of those once in a generation, once in 100 years golfers. You're not going to see somebody like him come along for who knows when.
Justin Thomas, one of his fellow golfers, who expressed that he was feeling sick to his stomach at the crash news, a good friend of Tiger Woods. Lorne, thank you, as always, for your perspective on all of this. We'll be back in touch, and hopefully it's for continued good news. Awake, responsive, recovering in his hospital room as we talk about Tiger Woods. Lorne Rubenstein with us this morning.